I don't know if we're going to get around to having a roundtable this month or not. So um, I thought I'd just cover a few things here, show you where I'm going with this program. Now, I mentioned in the past that I'm combining intraday and end of day. And as you know, if you've updated your files, you have the 1104 end of day and the intraday. Now, I have split these up because we are not getting, it's not pulling down the intraday quotes on the weekend like it did from the Yahoo server. That was a totally different setup where it would just go in and grab the last quote on the weekend. So I had to split it up. So the analysis for the end of day is for night and weekend analysis, and intraday is for, of course, intraday analysis. Now I'm running ThinkorSwim, of course, as you know, and this is running in the background and it's updating every 5 minutes. And of course, you can click on F5 to force an update, and you can see how quickly this goes in. Now, it updates. Now, what it's doing, Matt put this progress bar in, which slowed it down just a hair, but it takes no time at all to go in here and get a fresh update. I usually just let it run for 5 minutes, or just let it update every 5 minutes, which is plenty. So what it's doing, it's going in and it's grabbing 8,500 quotes, and that probably took less than a minute. Now let's just look at a few things here, and I'll explain what I'm doing with the intraday. By the way, I put these out for George, for everybody, just to make sure that we're all on the same page. But what I'm doing is for the Insider Club, I'm making subtle changes as I go along, and those changes will not go out to the general HGSI user. In fact, I've already made a change with one of these views. So if you go in and download the add-on again, those changes are up there, and I'll show you what that change is. But like I'm gonna on some of these intraday views, I need to put the intraday date and the intraday time. I just haven't had time to do all that. But I'm sorry, that'll be in addition to the information that's already in here. Just little cosmetic changes like that I'm doing. And then when I come up with new ideas, I'll just add them to these views. But let's look at the power of this by combining the end of day and intraday. Now this view right here is under my featured views. It's number 2 down from swing high. This is my IR method, or the impulse reaction method, and this is one of the change that I made. It's just a subtle difference, and it probably doesn't mean anything to you, but I was using the day's close is, well, let me show you here. Day's close is high, and day's high is high, and I changed it to day's close is high. And that's a subtle difference. Like I said, it won't make any difference to you, but what it did is, like the day's close, that's not a good example. Like this one right here, it just, rather than using the high of this bar, it switched it to the close. And if the close is lower than the prior day's close, then it's going to generate a green bar here. So just a subtle difference, but I think it'll work better for us. Now, this is an example of an IR, and let's just use this chart right here. It's Rainier, which is RYAM. You can see it's up 7.96%, but this has been setting up for several days for an IR. I mean, yeah, well, I don't know, let's see. Yeah, if you'd have gotten in here, you probably would have gotten stopped out, but over the past few days, if you'd have taken this setup, you'd have a nice profit today. But the advantage of doing it this way, intraday, is you can keep an eye on this intraday, and if you see stocks starting to move early in the morning, and when you get on with ThinkorSwim and have a view up, if you click F5, as soon as the market opens, all of this is going to fill in for you, and you may have some opportunities if you're fast enough. Now, maybe you don't want to operate like that. That's kind of stressful, actually, when you're making split-second decisions like that, and it might be better to do it at night. But the point of this is that there are opportunities that come up during the day. Now, this is an end-of-day filter, and I'm doing this with all of these intraday views. This is information from the prior day, the last close, volume, the volume point of control 1010 is greater than 0. Group rank is greater than 0, which means that all of these stocks are in groups. And then here's the day's closes high, and then the EMA fan uptrend equals yes. Now, what makes this powerful is that I am using the end of day filter, but I am using an intraday combo. And this combo takes into account three things: the intraday range, the intraday percentage change one day, and the intraday percent volume divided by the 20-day moving average volume. I'm experimenting with that now, but I may change that to the 50. It doesn't make that big a difference. But what's good about this is I have this same momentum combo attached to about every view in this intraday. So if I decide to go in and change that from the percent volume divided by the 20-day to the 50-day, then it changes for all of these views. I only have to do it one time. So that's the way I'm setting it up. Now let's see how this works. So you can see that auto home, I'm sorted on raw combo. Auto home is up 8.05% today, and the intraday range is at 97.21. This volume is running above normal, 108.9% above normal. And if I bring the chart up, you can see that this had a big move up today. Now this is this is not the type of stock I even like to look at because it's too loose. But there are opportunities in these stocks every day if you're fast enough and if you like to trade like this. And it's better, in my opinion, to find stocks that have a much stronger trend and are not so loose. But this will drive you crazy, a stock like this. But if you want to look for them, they exist here every day. Now here's Baidu. You can see why it's near the top of the list. A one-day change of 331. That's a percentage change. The intraday range is at 92.99, and volume is running ahead of normal. So let's look at Baidu. Now you can see Baidu, and this just happens to be a chart that I have up. Doesn't show everything very well, but it's got the intraday information in here and the end of day from yesterday. But here's a stock that evidently didn't do well with the earnings report, and here it found a bottom and pulled back, and then this qualifies for the end of day because here's a 2-day pullback, and this, believe it or not, this fan is still positive. If you look closely here, the green line is above, or the 18's above the 50, and both are obviously above the 100 and the 200. So it meets all the qualifications, and it is near the top of the list because of that combo. Okay, let's look at another one. ABEO, I don't know what this one is. It's a very loose chart. What you're going to find is you're going to find a lot of junk. By junk, I mean stocks that are extremely loose, and you aren't going to want to trade most of them anyway. So it's better, if you have a predefined watch list or stocks that you like, and then run these screens against them. But on the other hand, if you're looking for new opportunities, there's always stuff here. So let's go to a different view. That volume figure is an estimate, Marilyn. It's a mathematical estimate based upon what's happened so far. Paul, are you trying to present? Yeah, this is an estimate based upon what's happening so far. You know, Matt did the math on it. Anyway, that's what's going on. Now, if I go down to the bottom of this list, you can see that all of these stocks are down here at the bottom, and it's all red because these are the stocks that are least affected by that combo. So just remember that combo is attached to everything. Now let me go up here to these momentum scans. Now a lot of people like to look at 85 stocks with the VPOC positive. So if I click on that, notice that the combo, same combo, is attached to this, and these are very strong stocks based upon earnings per share rank and relative strength. So this stock, FANH, I'm not familiar with it, but you can see that this is a nice chart, and it's a stock which has an EPS rank of 96 and a relative strength rank of 99 and a group rank of 94. So these stocks have a tendency to keep going up because they fit this criteria, the 85 criteria. Look at all these really, for the most part, good VPA flags on this stock. Now let's look at Marvel. Now I saw this one yesterday. I didn't take it, but you know, it's hard to for me to take a stock like this, but obviously it would have been a very good trade. Bold. Here's another 85 stock. You can see that it's been in a contraction phase, and now it's going into an expansion phase. Let me go to a different chart here. I'm looking for this one right here. This is in the impulse reaction charts. It's number 15, and what I did here with this is put a 3 versus an 18-day exponential moving average comparison. So when the 3 is moving away from the 18, you're going to get the green bars on the histogram above 0, and that just shows you that it's expansion. I mean, you can see that it's expansion without it, but it's just another visual aid. Now let me make this chart full size, and you can see back here when it went from contraction and then it started moving up, and then it turned positive right here, and it held the green histogram all the way up to the top before it rolled over. But you can see the 18 is the red line and the 3 is the green line. So as the 3 moves away from the 18, this histogram gets higher. And it just shows that this stock is in an expansion mode. Now right here, you can see that it went from contraction, consolidation. When it's near the 0 line, it is just consolidating, and now it's starting to move up, and it's expanding. The group is starting to move up too, and if I open this up, you can see that this looks like an IPO. It's a biotech, unfortunately, with no revenue, but it has an EPS rank of 98 anyway. Why? Because the earnings are improving. Now, I know a lot of people don't like to play these because, you know, we've all been burned at one time or another. Who's viewer 11? Marvel bought CAVM. Okay, thank you. Anyway, you can see that if you just want to concentrate on one of these views, if you like 85 stocks only, Pete, put your name in there, will you? In your bubble. Thank you. You can find a lot of opportunities here. And now look at Square. I mean, this thing is crazy. It's been 85 for a long time. I think in a video the other day, didn't I use Square to show how many times it has appeared in the user groups that I maintain? Paul, you probably watched that video. But I mean, there are many opportunities here. You want me to do that quickly as a refresher? Anybody? Paul, does that mean you want me to show it, or you did watch it? All right, let me show you quickly. So this is SQ. And I'm going into the designer. And here's SQ right here. All you have to do is type that symbol in. And then this folder over here searches for that particular stock. And you can see that I have a new computer here. It's got 32 gigabytes of RAM and the fastest i7 you can buy. I stopped at Costco kind of looking for a computer, and the salesman said, well, why don't you come look at this one? We want the shelf space. It's a big box. And I said, okay, $2,500 on the HP website. They had it listed for $2,000. He said you can have for $1,000 just to clear the space. So anyway, I took it. And I'm glad I did. It's fast. Anyway, these are all of the times that SQ has appeared in Matt's new Top 100 group. And then as we go down here, you can see that these are all the times it's appearing currently. And then these are all the times that it's appeared in the stocks and groups moving to the upside from January on of this year. Look at this. I mean, it's appeared many times. Been in Best of Woodward and Brown since January. VPA flags, I'm not going to count those because that's both up and down. And then here's the top 50 group inclusion report. Look at all the times this stock has appeared. It's pretty amazing. Now, did I see any? No, I don't see where it appeared in the raw combo, but it appeared in enough of these other ones. And as Paul says a lot on the board, Gil likes to look at these stocks and groups moving up because that's where you're going to find a lot of stocks that are just beginning to move. Now I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to take that off and just get rid of that. And that's the way you can do it if you want to see how often these stocks have appeared. Okay, let's look at a few more of these. I'm not going to go through all these, but my point is that this strong momentum intraday combo is appearing on, I believe, all of these groups or all of these warehouse views. So it's going to bring the cream of the crop to the top. Now here is EPS and revenue growth with rising earning estimates for the current quarter with a fan uptrend. And here's WUBA. I mean, here was a test for supply, and it shot up from there. Now notice that MU was number 2, and then it updated, and AXGN moved up to number 2. And you can see that, well, let's just look at this. Negative earnings, but improving once again. And here's Micron, which just continues to go after this shakeout back here and a little shakeout right here too. But there have been many opportunities to buy this on with a VPA flag and also the pocket pivots. But once again, strong momentum combo is in here, and it's bringing these to the top of the list. If I go to the bottom by clicking up here, you can see that these stocks, even though they have EPS and revenue growth with raising earning estimates, are not going up today. So really, if you're a long side trader, all you have to do is look at any of these that you like, any of these views. Now here's extreme, pretty loose for me. I almost put a buy stop in on it yesterday, but I didn't. And the reason I was going to do it is that it had this test for supply, and it hadn't taken out this high. It would have been obviously, a good short-term trade anyway in the short term. But I don't know. It's pretty loose for me. But there's all kinds of opportunities here. Now, Marilyn mentioned that she likes this Perfect Speculator primary screen. What's my favorite? Well, the IR I like a lot because most of these will not be extended. But there's a lot. If you just look at that, you're going to miss a lot of trades. For example, let's see. Let's go down here. VPA flags today. These were stocks that had VPA flags yesterday at the end of the day. And look at them. I mean, there are, how many were there? 658. As I scroll down this list, and this is a crazy day today. It almost has a feel of a blow off. But look at all the green here, and I'm clear, mostly green, and I'm clear down into the 400 range down here. So if you fail to look at these other groups, and I understand you can't look at too many or it'll drive you crazy, but I've just given you a variety here, a variety of views, and you pick your own. Now, Pete, you said Cavium was, MRVL bought Cavium today. Or was it yesterday? Yesterday, okay. Yeah, I saw that go up yesterday, and you'd made a few bucks on this if you'd have taken it yesterday. Let's look at just a few of these. Here's your bullish flag yesterday, and I have plenty of views in here with bullish flags the last 3 days. My sister's texting me. I don't think you want to read that. You said you wanted to buy MLNX, but MLNX said no. What, the VPA said no? Marvel wanted to. Okay. Wow. Look at this. Oh, I see. Marvel wanted to buy MLNX. I see. Yeah, I mean, there's so many of these gaps. Here are some nice VPA flags here. Here you can see that it pulled back a little bit. If you look at this histogram here, it was just a consolidation mode, and then it went up. Now, let me get back to this Perfect Speculator screen. These are stocks that are hitting either, while they may or may not be all-time highs. HGSI just goes back 798 days on the calculation, which is about 3.2 years. So if you look over at this column here, see days close is high 798. That means that this stock is out to at least a 3.2 year high. Now Vonage, I never thought I'd see this, but Vonage is out to a multi-year high. Let's do a monthly on this, and you can see that on a monthly, I just went to the alternate M keys. Let's do a yearly on it, and you can see a yearly, it's still got a ways to go. Okay, this thing when it came out was a bust from the beginning, but if we look at a monthly or a weekly, pretty loose here, but it's out to a multi-year high after this Bible gap up. Let's see, are they they're still not making any money, or they are making money, but it's decelerating earnings. I don't know what's going on. It must be a buyout candidate or something. But you know, if we're just looking at the technicals, it's been appearing. Now Zag, they make these screen covers for smartphones and so on. This is out to a multi-year high. Let's do an alternate yearly on it. You can see that this is an all-time high. If you don't use you should be using shortcut keys to use these. Look at these charts because it's very, very fast. Matt put this in for us, and just a good way to get a long-term perspective without bringing up multiple charts. Here, Overstock, Micron we know is out to a new high. Let's look at overstock.com. I'll do the yearly alternate Y. Now you can see that it's not an all-time high on the yearly. But if I go to a monthly, you can see that it goes back many years. This is back to 413, which I'm showing here. If I make this a full screen, this is going back to 2007. So it took a long time, but Overstock is coming back. You know, their revenues have not grown that much, and their EPS rank is 15. I mean, there's just it seems like there's just an awful lot of froth in this market. Okay. Another one you might want to look at daily is 52-week high. This means that these stocks were hitting a 52-week high yesterday, and because of the strong momentum combo, it tells you immediately if these stocks are carrying through today. And there were 213 stocks that passed this yesterday. I'm going to go down to the bottom. Some of them are red down here, which means that they're pulling back a little bit from the 52-week high. But others are continuing to go. Now here's a stock I'm not familiar with at all. Hit the 52-week high yesterday at that point, pulled back, opened here, traded down, and it won't be a new 52-week high today again unless it unless it really picks up here. But it did hit the 52-week high yesterday, and buyers are stepping into it today. Now here's a nice chart. Drive Shack. Not familiar with this one. Okay, but look at this. Look at this beautiful chart. Has anybody come across this one before? Now, let me go to. I'm going to go to a different chart. This is called a VFB chart, a chart view, which means that it transfers the filter from the warehouse to the chart, and it's going to show me whenever this stock hit a 52-week high. And you can see that it hit a 52-week high right here, and it's been moving up since. Now I'm going to do a monthly on this one. Looks like it hasn't been out that long. Okay, let's do a weekly on it. Looks like it just came out at the end of last year, first of this year. It's an IPO, and it fell off, and it certainly formed a nice chart, clear back here, nice rounded bottom, and it's been a tight chart. Look at all these effort to rise VPA flags. And I'm going to go back to that momentum chart. Expansion contraction. And you can see that it went from negative here to positive here as it started gaining momentum. This histogram has actually remained green throughout this run. It may have gone back to the zero line right here, but this is really tight. When you see stocks that are this tight, it's a pretty good indication that the stock is under accumulation, or the demand is meeting the supply, or the supply is meeting the demand, because they just don't let it go down very far. And right here, you can see that there was a pocket pivot and there was a VPOC, volume point of control, at the same time. Looks like the group was moving up too, and this was just not that long ago, and it took off. Wish I'd have seen this back then rather than now, but I'm sure this is showing up in this intraday screen here. Okay, 52-week high. These are stocks that have pulled back a little bit from the 52-week high, and this once again is an end of day filter. This is a filter that I built probably 15 years ago, maybe more. Percent close to the 52-week high is less than 2%, but greater than 10% pullback. So it's between 2 and 10% pullback. Now, a lot of times these are stocks that hit that 52-week high, and then they need a little bit of rest here. And you can see that it's been bouncing around. Got some resistance over here, but there is volume coming back into it now, and it's still got to clear this over here, but it's a pullback. Let's look at the next one. Now here is one that hit a 52-week high. It pulled back. It was in that range between -2 and -10%, and guess what? It's out to a new 52-week high today. Looks like this one is too. It's a little cheapy stock. Now here is ACLS. This is a nice chart. It's been appearing a lot in the groups, and once again it qualified for this filter because it pulled back from this 52-week high right here, but stayed in a nice range. So as long as it was between that -2 and -10% in here, it's going to pass this filter. And then with the intraday, once again, you can see the strong momentum is on here. The intraday filter is going to pull it to the top. So there's just all kinds of ways to look at the market depending on what you like. If you like LOURs only based upon the moving average extensions, a lot of people just like to trade this view only. So what do we have here? I'm going to show you that it's a lower left, upper right stock. It's been loose at times, but you can see the momentum. It's amazing how often this VPOC 1010 corresponds to when a stock is starting to move up. And I've got filters in here for the VPOC 1010 crossover. But let's just go through a few of these. You can see that they're, well, this is kind of a loosey-goosey LOUR, but most of them, there's Micron, most of them are pretty good. There's BABA, ACLS again, Orbitech, Some of these are loose, but a lot of them are extremely tight. VMware, and generally but not always, these are very strong trending stocks. Okay, any questions? I guess the main point is I wanted to point out that these are end of day filters, and they're being driven with the intraday combo. So that gives us the opportunity, if we sit and look at the screen during the day, a lot of people do, others don't care to do that, but if you do, what it does is it gives you opportunities to locate stocks that may, well, they'll turn up at the end of the day, but it'll give you an opportunity to get into some of these stocks earlier. Now, the problem with this market is, as we all know, everything is so extended now that it's difficult to take a lot of these trades. So manage your risk if you do. Let me show you one more thing before I go. If you have any questions, type them into the box. This is one of the well, I shouldn't say main advantages. It's another advantage of using ThinkorSwim intraday, because we can really get a feel for what's going on in the market. Now, this is stocks up in groups intraday, and if I bring the spectrum analyzer up and go up to industry, this will give me a quick view of where the strength is today, and you can see that there are a lot of REITs, a lot of banks, a lot of application software, biotech, and so on. There's 1885 stocks that are up and 1007 down, so it's not running quite 2 to 1. I thought it would be stronger than that, with the NASDAQ up over 1%, or the NASDAQ futures up over 1%. But it's really not. Now, another thing you can do, this is a quick, I like to do this for a quick read, but another thing you can do, by the way, here's, this is the top 50 group inclusion report today, which I'm running in ThinkorSwim. A more precise way to do this, and I've shown you this before, is just go into the reference groups or wherever the industries are. You can do it in the Woodward and Brown groups too. And just bring the industries up, and under Tools, Rebuild Indexes in Group. You can see this computer really whips through this stuff. And I'm going to flip back to a warehouse view. And there's nothing in here because these are industry groups. Now, on the intraday, it's right below the featured bullish prospecting scans, the top-down process views. If I click on that, sort on raw combo, it's going to show me where the strength is. This is kind of interesting. This is based upon a percentage price move. Well, here, let me show you the combo. This is the combo I'm currently using. Percent close to the 100-day exponential moving average, and to the 200 and to the 18. So it's looking for strong groups. It's looking for, I'm using all of the moving averages that I use in the fan and weighting them 20%, and then percentage price change 5 days over the past 5 days. And if I bring up this chart, you can see that this insurance group is very strong right now. And here's another insurance. Wow, there's a gap in there. Paper index, pretty conservative. Kind of strange, isn't it? But another thing you can do is go down to this next one, number 2. You can sort on advancers versus decliners, and look what's leading today. Home builders are leading. That KBH that I put in the weekly report, it just can't get out of its own way. But I don't know why. It's a good-looking stock. It's just doesn't want to go. It's hovering right around the buy point right now. But if you change to the industry group, and then you go to, I just dropped down to scorecard intraday, it will show me, based upon this same combo, where the strength is in this group. So you can get a very quick read of these stocks and which ones are performing best. Now this LGIH has been a great stock. It pulled back a little bit. Look at this momentum that it had down here. Pulled back a little bit, and it looks like it wants to go today. Now if I bring up KB Home, you can see that it's struggling. I liked it because of these VPA flags, and it had broken out to this level right here, but it just can't seem to get out of its own way. It's got a strong EPS rank, strong relative strength, strong group rank, and so on. But there's just not a lot of interest in it on the volume, as you can see there. But those are, let's see, I can't go back there. I have to go back up to the industries and go to my top down or demand supply, and then you sort on advancers versus decliners. You can see semiconductors are still at number 22, but there are some other groups up here at the top that kind of surprised me. Home builders does not surprise me, because I think that's the big news today. Weren't housing starts stronger than, or not housing starts, existing home sales are stronger than usual. So that's going to help the housing stocks. It's going to help every housing stock, but KBH, I guess. All right. Any questions?